Hey, my name's Nithya Kanagasegar. I was on the CWRU women's tennis team from 2014 to 2018. I like to think that I was a pretty good, pretty good athlete and student. Coming into college, I didn't even know if I wanted to play tennis in college. And then for me, it was really the program, our head coach, Kirsten, that really swayed my decision for me and made me feel comfortable here and really confident in making the decision to come here. Not to mention my teammates that I had, especially the upperclassmen that I really looked up to. As far as like my athletic career, I came in, I was so tiny and felt like fragile, competing against these really, really talented veteran players, and was lucky enough to have a really strong freshman season that I think really set me up for a pretty exciting career. Obviously, could not have even dreamt of having that experience that I did without my coach pushing me, my teammates that were every day making me better, making me hustle more in practice and run faster in sprints, whatever it was. So a lot of credit goes to them too. I guess as far as the kind of teammate I was, I think I was just really tennis was all I could see, basically. I love tennis. I still love tennis. It's a big part of my life and always has been, and I think it always will be. And that was kind of how I approached college tennis too. I felt really committed to the team and to my teammates. Not to say that I never messed up or anything, but yeah, I think that I was really just put tennis first. And I really looked forward to traveling for tennis. I love to compete. I love dual matches because that was a chance where in an individual tournament, it's cool because I don't know, you kind of have a bracket system, which is March Madness for D3 women's tennis, I guess. But having a dual match setting is it's just the coolest experience of being able to be on the court, cheering on your teammates, having them cheer you on. And that was what really made tennis special to me, was those kinds of experiences with my team. I guess the other part of that was what kind of student I was. So I studied biomedical engineering, and I'm now in med school. So I guess even Kirsten would always joke that I never was focused on school, and probably was more focused on tennis, which to some degree is probably true, which my parents would hate to hear. But yeah, I really liked school. I liked to study, I guess, and I love to learn, which is I think what led me into medicine. But yeah, I think between tennis and a pretty rigorous curriculum, I was my hands were pretty full with those two things. So yeah, I think that those were my experiences with those. Most of my memories about Case tennis was centered around my teammates. And as a freshman and sophomore, there was this group of really strong leaders that we had and that I was lucky enough to play with and learn from, and still look up to and are role models to me. And they did give us a hard time as underclassmen, and I think it's just classic underclassmen things. But in retrospect, I probably deserved it for whatever shenanigans I was up to. But yeah, one of my favorite experiences, and I think anyone who was on the team at that time, this is a really fun memory for us, is my freshman year. we played Chicago very early in the season. It might have even been our first match of the season. And it was a doubleheader. So we were playing University of Chicago and Allegheny. And, we were inside at Skatings where there's only 4 courts. So to kind of move things along, we started the Allegheny match as the Chicago match was still going on. And, we must have started out with taking the doubles, and then we had 2 matches actually. Our senior captain, she was down like 3-love in the third set. She had split sets. She was down 3-love. Ended up coming back and winning that match to put us at 4-all. And then one of the sophomores on the team, she clinched the match for us, also split sets, and I think was down in the third. And the comical part of all of this is that, the Allegheny match is still going on. So inside of Skating, it's like pretty small, and, we have our teammates like up on top on the railing. So the way the courts are set up is that the courts are kind of down below, and you're around this railing all like 360 around, and it's open. So you can hear everything that's going on in the crowd. And, we like the people that were up there were just like jumping up and down and stomping, like the whole place was just shaking. And I was like playing my match against Allegheny, and, Kirsten will joke now that I like didn't even know the score of my match because I was so invested in this Chicago match. And I would literally like, hit like a loopy ball and kind of look over like in the middle of the point to see what was going on, because it was just such an intense match. And we had never beaten Chicago before ever. And, it was coming down to the wire. We got word that the men's team was also down in it was down to the wire on their match, and then they ended up clinching. So it was just like a really, really special night for us. And like to be able to get that first win, and then that like rocketed us up to 12th in the country, which is, I think, our program high ranking. So it was just like a really, really crazy, and even just thinking back to it, it's like, I can't even believe that happened. Just like all of the events leading up to it were just so surreal. So still here at Case, I'm in my second year of med school now. And I think in general, like being a student athlete, you learn to manage your time. And, I talked about like being an engineer before, and it is a pretty rigorous curriculum, along with competing at, one of the top 20 programs in the country. So in Division III. And I think just that experience of time management really pays off in medical school. You have a lot of things going on, and, there's a lot of things that are interesting and that you want to get your hands into, and, being able to identify like, okay, I do have the time to spend on this thing, and like do, not like, I don't know the right word to say, but just kind of like devote completely to one thing. And then another part of it is like, I think just the type of like athlete that I was, and also just like the relationship that I had with my coach. Like we were always talking about, I would end the season, maybe had like a decent season, or maybe I just ended the season on like a 7-match losing streak. Either way, I was like, we were always talking about what are ways that I can do better, and what kind of drills specifically do I need to be working on over the summer, or into the fall. Like, was it my fitness? Was it like mental fortitude? There was so many different aspects of my game that I wanted to work on, and that I did work on a lot throughout my career. And I think that mentality of just like, there's always room to improve in a sport, in any area of life. And I think that like really lends itself well into medicine, where, there's so much about the human body that we don't know. And that, we were just talking last week in our curriculum, about dealing with uncertainty. in medicine, sometimes you don't know everything that's going to happen, and you kind of just have to do the best with what you have. And I think just like striving to know a little bit more than you did the time before is really important, and that kind of translated for me from tennis into my very early and young professional career. I'm really, really terrified of heights. Like, you know, I went to like the Blake Lee Adventure Gym before COVID times, and like really I just could not function there. I was like sweating and like my heart was racing. It was not that exciting for me. But I did get the chance to study abroad when I was in undergrad. I went to Australia for a semester, which was, first of all, really cool that my coach was cool with that. And, you know, my teammates supported me through that too. And I felt really bad because I didn't want to leave, but they were like, no, like, this is a once in a lifetime chance, so you should go. And I'm really glad I did. But when I went abroad, I was like, okay, I am like facing this fear. So I went skydiving actually, and it was like, I think it was a 14,000 foot drop. And the funny thing was I went with my brother, and he went first. And like, I don't know if you've ever seen a family member fall out of an airplane, but it's pretty horrifying. And then I went after him, you know, and I just like, they recorded the whole thing, and the whole thing is just me screaming at like this unspeakable decibel. But it was a really cool experience, and I don't know that I would do it again. We'll see. If I am reinvigorated with that invincibility, maybe. I feel like I always say this is just to really like cherish, you know, I think especially now people are getting a lot of perspective on things that you would normally take for granted. And something that I'm in this time really grateful for was having the opportunity to play out my senior season and like play out 4 years of college tennis. And yeah, and I think like sometimes like the things that we think are just like the end of the world. Like I remember conversations with Kirsten or with my teammates where it's like, oh my God, I just played so bad in this match, and like everyone hates me because I just totally like tanked this match, and like I'm a horrible tennis player, I'm a horrible teammate, you know, like, and at the end of the day, like it's a tennis match, like, you know, it's not the end of the world. And I think like just reminding myself of that, like, and just really, really appreciating the chance to even play at this level and with surrounded by these amazing people, competing against amazing people, and learning from, you know, like super talented people too, I think is just like the most important thing at the end of the day. And yeah, like, yeah, you'll lose matches, you'll lose games, whatever sport you're doing or whatever you're doing, but it's just like sometimes it's like okay, you know. And I wish that I had known that a little bit more when I was in college.